Good evening, and we will call this meeting of the Asheboro City Council for Thursday, February 9th to order. There's some seats in here. Come on in, right down front. When you get here late, you gotta sit on the front row.
Can't hide now.
Did you learn that when you were city manager?
Excuse me.
Welcome, everyone, and if you will, at this moment, stand with me and invite you to engage in silent meditation, and we will follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to invite former State Representative Pat Hurley to come up and join me right up here in the front. And as I transition to the front of the room, I will say that there were a lot of important awards passed out at the recent Chamber of Commerce banquet annual meeting, and we gave Volunteer of the Year and Citizen of the Year, and small business and small industry, and a lot of important awards. But I got to tell you, and for one reason or another, Ms. Hurley could not be there. And we had an award to present to her, and I believe of all the awards that were given out that night, for the work that you did for the citizens of Asheboro, that this award is probably way more important than any of those others that were passed out that night. And so disappointing, we also recognized former Representative Alan McNeil, and together they toted the water very well for Asheboro and Randolph County for many, many years. So we asked her to come tonight so I could say a couple of nice things about her. And what I said that night was that Pat did not always have the answer to the question. But as a very, very smart woman, she always knew where to find that answer. And she was as well prepared as anybody I've ever worked with. She walked in many times with a stack of research papers, 3 or 4 inches thick, that she got from the Legislative Research Office, and I always thought to myself, well, that's job security for them. So,
paying their salary.
She didn't know the answer. She would call research, and they'd give her just reams and reams of information to answer that question. And sometimes, and you know how impatient I am, sometimes it was too damn much information. But tonight it's our honor and privilege to recognize former Representative Patricia Hurley with a key to the city. It says, presented to Representative Patricia Britt Pat Hurley for service in North Carolina House of Representatives, represented 70th District from the year 2007 to the year 2023. That is a long and distinguished career in Raleigh, and that came after she did how many years at the clerk's office? Oh, 14 in the clerk's office handling estates, right?
Exactly. I love that job too.
Well, we love you, Pat, and we appreciate all you did for us.
Thank you.
And we don't
What does
want.
that mean? What does that mean? Like to do with that key?
You've got to lock up tonight.
That key will get you in absolutely nothing.
Symbolic.
But people stick it on the wall in your office and say, well, they gave me a key this year. So, you
And
certainly,
it's my hometown, and I am so, proud to receive it. Thank you.
you know, we're proud of you and we appreciate all you've done, so it's my honor. Did you get a picture over there?
Yep.
Let's step right out here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love you. It's the first time in 20 or 30 years she hadn't had to stay for the whole meeting.
That's what that key does, get you out of here.
Okay, I will reconvene a hearing that was tabled, or what's the correct word? Adjourned, continued from last month. That is a legislative hearing, which I will reopen, for a rezoning request for property located on Golda Avenue, east of 210 Golda Avenue, approximately 800 feet west of the intersection of North Fayetteville Street, and call on Mr. Nuttall to bring us up to speed on that as we finish our deliberations on that.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I begin, will remind the audience that there is a public comment sheet up here for any speakers to write their name so that the clerk can accurately record that in the minutes for the meeting tonight. As the Mayor said, this is a continuation of a conditional zoning request that the council heard input on last month. I'm going to focus my remarks here tonight on what has changed.
Trevor, we're dark here.
Is everybody dark?
No, just over here.
Good down here.
Yeah, they're all down here.
I think we're having, I had noticed that earlier and put them back on, so.
We have a quorum, we'll let y'all know how to.
I think we're having some issues with those monitors because I had turned them on earlier, so they are likely to go out again.
We'll let you know.
But the information on those monitors is contained within the updated staff report at your places. I'm going to just focus my remarks here this evening on what has changed since the meeting last month. I'll remind council and the audience that this is an application filed by Darren Lucas, who's the owner of the property. It's a request to take the property from a medium-density residential zoning district to a high-density conditional zoning district for a multifamily development as shown on the plan at your places. So under the ordinance, technically, this is an application for a multifamily development to go up to 17% floor area. That's the first tier of density in the city's zoning ordinance for multifamily projects. However, you'll note on the site plans at your places that the actual floor area ratio that proposed is closer to about 9%. So as far as the intensity or the amount of square footage that is proposed with this plan, while the ordinance in the RA6 district could allow an application to go up to 17%, this is an application that's only seeking approximately 9%. It's about 8.5 acres in size, and the property's currently undeveloped. To update everyone on the application, since the January meeting, there have been a few changes that the applicant has made to the plan. The first is, as you'll note on the plan before you this evening, the number of units has been reduced from 46 to 44 units. An additional 10 feet of landscaping buffer has been offered by the applicant along the western property line. Within that specific area, additional evergreen trees are proposed to be planted on 20-foot centers. That proposal is in addition to the 10-foot buffer and plantings that previously had been offered by the applicant around the perimeter of the property. Again, that additional landscaping pertains to the western property line. The east, north, and southern lines retains the original 10-foot landscaping buffer that had been proposed. As part of the discussion last month, there had been some question about the continuity of the sidewalk within the development. There had been a gap that was not connecting units that were in that area. The applicant has come back and addressed that. You'll see that the sidewalk is continuous throughout the development, connecting all units. Since last month's meeting, city staff has met to make a recommendation in terms of roadway improvements that would make sense for Golda Avenue in light of its current conditions and in light of this proposal. The staff's recommendation is for roadway width and new asphalt to be applied to Golda Avenue at the conclusion, either the conclusion of the construction of this project, so as not to damage new surfacing that we may put down, or if the project doesn't move forward, for the city to do that project as we had originally identified. So the Golda Avenue is already on a city resurfacing list. It's not in the top tier of priorities, but it is something that we will get to probably in the next 2 years, independent of this project. So if the project gets underway within that time period, our recommendation would be to allow the project to build out and then do that roadway improvement. If for some reason the project has not started by that point, we would do the roadway improvement as originally intended. To brief you more specifically on the project, it's 22 duplex-style buildings that are proposed. That's how you get a total of 44 units. Each unit is 825 square feet approximately. This is a multifamily project. There are no lots proposed with this proposal, so there'll be no subdivision of land. All units will be contained and owned by a single property owner. We point out, as we do in the staff report, that under the current zoning, under the current R10 district, we believe there could be an accommodation of 36 to 40 total units, so between 18 and 20 duplex-style units that could, in theory, develop on this property, but it would require a subdivision of the land to occur. And the difference between this project and what would normally be permitted is the fact that there is no subdivision proposed with this project. Under that scenario, where a subdivision were to be created and lots subdivided off a new roadway, we point out that under the current zoning district, that could be done and all of the trees, vegetation on the property removed with no requirement for any type of landscaping buffering to be reinstalled. When residential projects such as that adjoin similar residential projects, there is no buffering and screening required between those two developments. Lastly, we point out that the project proposed is considered relatively low density for a multifamily project. In the requested RA6 district, an applicant could, in theory, request multi-story buildings and over 70 dwelling units of a similar size for this property with a typical RA6 district. So again, we're looking at far fewer units than would otherwise be permitted. On the screen, I've tried to point out where the changes to the site plan have occurred that I just described. Again, we're looking at some additional buffering along the western side of the property. There is an additional row of evergreen trees on 20-foot centers within that area. The location of the building removed is pointed out on this site plan, and that is the plan before you. So there has been a unit removed in and it's in that location generally where that arrow is. And the continuity of the sidewalk has been addressed. You'll see that the sidewalk extends throughout the project now. I described the city's proposal for Golda Avenue road improvements. This is a conceptual drawing prepared by the city engineering department that shows what we would intend to do, either at the time that resurfacing makes it to the top priority, or at the conclusion of this project. And that would be to take the roadway from what is an approximately 17 to 20 foot width roadway to a 20-foot width roadway, all the way from Fayetteville Street to its terminus, as shown on this map. Just to remind everyone where we are in terms of location, the map shows the subject parcel outlined in blue. All those letters denote a property owner who would have received a notification for this request. You can see this is in a large area of yellow existing R10 zoning. This request is to move it into that conditional zoning RA6. You can see the closest location for that similar zoning district is Matthew Grand to the north there, a few hundred feet. On this map, you can see subject parcel is at 8.5 acres, right in the middle of the screen. You can see the single and two-family development that adjoins it to the south and west. As you move north and northwest, you start to see the multifamily projects along North Fayetteville Street. So in addition to Matthew Grand, there's also the Summers Run subdivision in this vicinity of North Fayetteville Street. The proposed conditions that I did review at last month's meeting relatively stay unchanged. We do reflect that the use shall be a development consisting of 44 units rather than 46 that had originally been proposed. We added a condition pertaining to the road naming of this proposed driveways within this development, noting that those roadways are subject to city approval. I don't know that the proposed name has gone through that vetting process at this time, but it will need to. And we point out that all traffic control and road signs are to be erected at the cost of the developer. This is a private network of driveways that serves this project, so the city will not be installing those signs. Other than that, our analysis is very similar to what I presented last month. I'll remind council that this comes to you with a positive recommendation by both the city staff as well as the city planning board. So this analysis has not changed. I'll remind the board that you're considering both the consistency statement in terms of how well this request aligns with the city's adopted plans, and then also deciding on the actual map amendment to put the property in a different zoning district. So I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to speakers.
Trevor, in looking at what you made mention, if this were, while the numbers were similar, a slightly higher density with this, but as compared to a subdivision, and with the subdivision, you wouldn't have the landscaping requirements for especially joining the rear of the lots from the Lamar Avenue residence. In fact, to achieve the density without this clustering, the backyards would be backyard to backyard, most likely. I mean, if they laid it out. So the only way to ensure that this is protected this way is with the clustering. To move it to that density to the center, that density can't fit unless you use the entire perimeter.
I think that's fair. Subdivision, I would expect to grade the majority of this property in order to maximize the buildable area. And again, there is no ability for the city then to discuss buffering on that type of project.
It's just lots.
Correct.
How many lots could be on a subdivision? How could you put in there?
That's what we believe that you could get roughly 18 to 18 to 20 duplex-style units built on individual lots. So that's on the high end. That would assume that you are disturbing the entirety of the property and building your street network to serve every inch of this lot. But there's enough land area, and we've looked at different different road layouts that could go on this property that we believe you could get 36 to 40 units under the current district.
There'd be no problem.
Correct.
And Trevor, the developer, to your knowledge, is still committed to maintaining as many trees as possible on the property as is feasible?
Yes, ma'am, and I know he'll speak to that. We have shared the updated report and the conditions, and asked Mr. Lucas to confirm that those are acceptable. That was his testimony last month. I believe that would be the case.
That's in addition to the extra buffer planting he's doing on the west side of that property.
Correct. And our expectation would be there's either the maintenance of existing vegetation to achieve what's described on the plans, or in the absence of the ability to maintain those trees, then the expectation would be that what has been identified on the plans is what's installed. I do think you would likely see a combination of tree preservation and new plantings in order to accomplish the intent of what the plan states. Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Noble? All right, this is a continued hearing from last month. Many of you were here last month and spoke. Some of you were not here last month, and I know you'd like to speak, so we will continue the hearing and allow you to speak, and I would just ask that if you have spoken regarding this request last month, that is part of the record, and we all heard what you said. It is part of the official record, so try not to stand up and repeat what was said last month, and we'll be respectful of those that did not have a chance to speak last month. So, first person would like to address the council. Come on up, Ms. Spivey.
Well, I just want to know, if there's only one way to come out, and that would be onto Golda, what about if something happened, what about a back route?
We have required that in the past.
I know, because, you know, that's a lot of units, and what if something happens and you're coming out to Golda, and all that traffic that's, okay, Golda and Lamar has a lot of traffic also, and if there's a lot of cars out there on Lamar, especially during the day, so what's going to happen?
I think we've only required that in the past where there was actually access to a road.
Yeah.
This track does not have
Hey,
access.
you know, that's Yancey Street behind there, and Yancey's a small street. Look into Yancey.
Well, this property doesn't adjoin Yancey.
Well, behind it is Yancey. Am I
Trevor?
crazy? It's not
There's-
Yancey behind it?
There's no easement across there from this
Yancey's
property
right
to.
behind there.
Property A is all we're addressing, correct?
I know, but you've got to think about another exit besides
We don't,
Golda.
we don't have access to property D.
Well, but what are you going to do if something happens and say if you have several fire trucks and they're all blocked in? I mean, you know, we're talking about people's lives then.
Well, it's no different than the dead end of the existing Golda Avenue, but this development has a circle driveway all the way around there, so it actually has two entrances to the
But
units.
at the end of Golda, you've got that big old field out here. Hey, I think you better think about that. I mean, we're talking about people's lives now. And that is a small street, Yancey behind there, but I think you should think about another exit for there. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spivey.
Oh,
Next,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be smart, but I do think about that. Oh, I did. I put it in one.
anybody else?
Mayor, while I'm thinking about that, as it relates to secondary means of access to residential development, there's guidance provided by the state fire code in terms of when that becomes paramount for emergency services. The guidance from the fire code is 100 dwelling units. That is the typical threshold, and we can look under that depending on what the circumstances are. But we start making such secondary access a condition of our recommendation once you start getting up to 100 dwelling units. This plan did go through our fire department, the full city services, and with the provision of hydrants on this site, which is one of the conditions of the fire department, it did meet their requirements.
Well, and again, I'd submit that we have a loop design into a single feeder, which is no different from a state loop road.
Anyone else? You sure? This is it. Last call. Okay.
Mayor, I think since we did make alterations to the suggested conditions, and Mr. Nuttall testified that as far as he knew that they were acceptable to the builder, I think we need to put it on the record that.
Ask.
Yeah. Mr. Ludis. You reviewed the new proposed conditions by city staff.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. If y'all got any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer.
And just for the record, you are amenable to those suggested
Oh, yeah.
conditions as a condition of this project, is that right?
No problem.
Thanks, that's all the questions I have.
Anyone else on council have any questions? Well, hearing none, we'll move to the deliberative phase, and I'll ask council what are their thoughts.
Well, I didn't want Walker to even do solo last time.
I'm the only child, it doesn't bother me.
I think the concern of those who primarily were in opposition relative to the access as it related to Golden Road and secondary to Lamar Avenue, and then also the closeness and proximity to the back of those properties on Lamar Avenue. I think the developers tried to address those, and the city has addressed the width of Golden Avenue on a consistent basis. So based on that and the consistency statement of staff, I would move that we adopt the conditional rezoning and the consistency statement.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Moffett. Motion made by Mr. Bell. Discussion?
I think I would like to commend Mr. Lucas for being, hearing the concerns of the adjoining neighbors and doing what he can do to ameliorate some of their concerns and still use his property for development. I think he has listened and heard what the neighbors had to say.
And I too I'm sitting here thinking about the development that's going in behind my house. It is a subdivision, and they took every tree right up to my property line. And this would be much better behind my house than what I'm getting right now, so.
The traditional single-family
Yeah.
subdivision.
Yeah, so, yeah, like I said, this is a better deal, would've been a better deal for me behind my house.
Well, I tell you, with a development like this too, if, for instance, you get something going on that you don't like, you get to call one person who has the authority to take care of it as opposed to going through code enforcement and individual landowners. It's a mixed bag of tricks with single-family dwelling.
All right. I'd like for everybody in the room to understand what Mr. Nuttall said about the Golda improvements. Basically, what he said was that we would be responsible for widening that street and resurfacing that street, but likely would wait until the build-out was complete, so the heavy trucks, heavy equipment coming and going would not destroy the new construction, the new surfacing. And if it were to not occur, then we would fix the street anyway. We have it on our list of improvements, streets to be improved. And it is, it does appear that it has grown in. It is not the street it was originally when it was built. But I want everybody to understand that, going forward. Mr. Lucas, I find myself passing by your Crestview Church Road site regularly, and you've cut most of the trees down there.
What we said, actually, I left more than what we said on the.
Well, at this point, it's not obvious, but, and that was kind of where I was going. You left perimeter, a lot of trees in the perimeter, but right now it looks like a war zone.
Yeah, I even did a timber deed where, and made it and recorded it so that I wouldn't make anybody mad. So I made it, I made some of it bigger than we talked about.
Okay, good. Well, if
Try
we,
to over-deliver.
all right.
Try to.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Lucas, let me just say, don't make us regret approving this
I
subdivision.
will do exactly what we said.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna do a little better. The trees on this one too, than the map. I can do a little bit better than that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank y'all.
Do we have, is our auditor here?
No, yes, we need, Mayor, next item on the agenda, Mayor, is, the audit, the annual audit report by the firm of Honeycomb.
Oh, it's been
Parsley and
rescheduled.
Tarley.
Okay.
And due to a change and a problem with their scheduling, that will be the first thing on your, special meeting on Friday the 24th.
Okay, and if I read the red print, I would have known that. I wouldn't have it asked.
I just assumed they had promoted Debbie to self-audit.
Okay,
After
so,
20 years of looking for a boo-boo, and you don't find one, you know.
Item 5 was rescheduled to the special meeting on Friday, February 24th, which starts at 10 o'clock on that morning.
That's correct.
It's a workshop for council, probably lasts 3 hours or so.
Something like that.
And, all right. Public comment period. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on any items of city business or concern?
Talking about the, about the DOT deal with the lines in the road. That's rough out there, when you ain't got no,
Well, if you want to speak, stand up here. I'm sorry, Kevin.
We know who you
I
are.
apologize, everybody know me, but.
Yeah, the tape doesn't know, that's okay.
We just need you to speak to the microphone.
Okay,
We're pretty informal sometimes, but that's not one of them.
okay, cool. Yeah, I had spoke with you about the lines, on the road right there coming out Vision Drive and, coming south and stuff. The lines are just disappeared. And, when it's raining and stuff coming out through there, you got double cars coming in there, and you don't know if you another lane or right up against the buffer in the middle of the road. And, I'm scared that somebody's really gonna get hurt out there.
And that's Vision Drive,
Right there, coming out of Vision Drive, coming on to,
73,
yeah,
74.
that, and then, no. If you coming off of 73, 74,
Okay,
and you coming up Vision Drive,
at the stop.
and then when you get to the stoplight, right there on Fayetteville Street, you either go across on Old Liberty Road, or you take a right or left. And all the lines are just gone.
I was through there the other day and noticed that the dotted lines for the left turn
And
were gone.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
report.
that's maintenance, that's DOT.
We'll
maintenance.
report
You got
that,
something to add?
and
No,
they'll,
that was a different service.
we'll see if we can't get it, when they let us striping contract, see if we can't get it done.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
Maintenance can, if we'll let
only
Jennifer
get-
Britt,
Mr. Morris,
We'll reach out to them.
oh, y'all gonna tag team us, are you?
You know how we roll.
You ganging up on us.
Yeah, man.
is this like that TV show Young Rock?
Yeah, yeah.
Do I need to run?
Oh, yes, sir. You let-
Hey, Gene, I got a couple of tickets I'll show you.
Sure you do. He may have 8 of them.
No, actually, I passed out all but two.
Oh, good. So don't let that meeting on the 24th at 10 o'clock in the morning run over to 6 o'clock at night.
Nope, nope, gonna be there.
We're not going to take up a lot of time, but we wanted to come on behalf of Asheboro Raiders football. You guys took a chance with us when we presented this program for the youth of Asheboro. And we had just a few tokens we wanted to give you guys because we had some success. We had one of our teams went to Texas, one went to Virginia, one went to Florida, and this would not have been possible without Asheboro City Council and the city of Asheboro. And I'd like to say also, it's deep in my heart that each one of you are approachable. I appreciate the relationship with each one of you. And we have, Gene, go
Can
ahead.
y'all come to the front, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Ogburn? Can y'all step up here for a second, please? I promise it won't take long.
You know what we say about this, don't you? We say you need to put the money in the program.
Believe me, we had to put money into it.
You don't need to spend any money on that.
We didn't, man. I told them that. We didn't. Don't worry about it. They donated us an extra championship ring that we'd like to give you guys. It was just like the one I got on. So, I'll give you this one. So we want to give you a little jersey, something of appreciation.
Appreciate it, brother. You didn't have to do that, man. Appreciate it. That makes you feel good.
So just step on over here. You got the little jersey right here. For you, we got the little barrel in the back.
That's great. That's great.
I will cherish that.
You don't know,
I love it.
how many cheerleaders and young men did we have?
We had
We had 125,
36
cheerleaders, yeah. So,
And another 125 or so in the other one,
Yes,
so
sir.
about 250.
You know where this is gonna show up, don't you? No, not the jersey. The work you're doing right now.
Right.
When these kids get to Asheboro High School, when they start winning championships at Asheboro High School, it's all gonna be worthwhile.
That's the plan right there.
That is what you're building for.
Generation to generation. Thank you, man.
John, is that light blue or teal?
It was fine with me.
I want you to put it on. I want you to put that light blue jersey on.
That's right.
I might have to work out a little bit before I put this on.
We're gonna call that Panther blue today.
Carolina blue there, I
Yeah.
don't know about
Teddy blue.
Yeah.
That's pretty special, guys. Thank you so much.
There, you know, we began that football youth program, we had some, unfortunately, had some violence in a neighborhood or two. So council asked us what we could do, and the best thing we can do is give young people something to do.
More opportunity.
Constructive
More
opportunity.
Right, and, we're just proud. Thank you very much.
That's special.
Yeah.
That may be a weapon if you actually get
I
that.
can't remember how many times I got thumped on the head with a senior class ring, as an underclassman.
It's better to be tall.
All right, anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the council? Come on up, Mr. Durham.
Sorry I had to miss last meeting, but, and I understand certainly that Division 8 has a lot on their agenda with dealing with 42 and 64, as the paper has so well covered. But since the 12/12 meeting and discussion of the Salisbury and Sunset intersection with Lexington, I didn't see it on the agenda tonight, so I'm just curious, has there been any movement in that direction?
We're glad you came tonight. Yes.
Good.
Tuesday, the North Carolina Zoo and Randolph County Economic Development Corporation hosted the entire North Carolina Board of Transportation
This past Tuesday?
this past Tuesday. And Mayor Smith, Mayor Pro Tem Moffitt, I attended, and we worked them on your intersection.
Thank you so much for that update. So we're making some progress.
We're so glad you came, because we actually worked, that's one of the things we worked on when we, and Mr. Moffitt had all 15 of them, including Chairman Mike Fox
And Secretary of
and the
Transportation.
Secretary of
They
Transportation.
all know your address now.
That's right.
How about Kerry Fine? Was he?
Kerry Fine was there.
That's good name, fine name.
Yes, so we actually are working it.
All right, so what was the reception, or do they just say, we got a lot going on? And
No, they said, get it on the TIP, get it working on it.
okay, so that's the process.
And
Yes, but we will attempt to use, if we can get a hold of local dollars, it's on our local.
Right,
dollar
which I think
receipts
Walker
anyway.
mentioned.
Yes.
It always helps.
It's on our local dollar.
Greases it up a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Trevor and I have a RPO meeting the afternoon of the 15th. Where's Trevor? Make sure I don't overstep here, get it said correctly. Where the prioritization is established, and that's where we work to get projects
How it's ranked.
ranked on there.
It goes up faster if you have
We-
some
And
local
the
money.
three of us also met with our new legislative representatives, Brian Biggs and Neil Jackson. That was Monday afternoon.
Monday, right.
And they asked us for our prioritization of projects. It was not only just roadways, but 42 and the Salisbury Sunset were both listed on our roadway projects for them to work on from Raleigh. So we're pushing it from three angles, but we need the drawing back, the two-dimensional drawing to establish budget.
Question, this is just something I noticed today, is there gonna be any fixing of Salisbury Street at some point between like the old Westons and like the library? I mean, that is like a washerboard, you know?
All of that is a state road.
I know, so is that
So
in
there
that
should,
list too?
it's on,
On the east side, they're not from the Mansfield.
Well, let's talk about that, because
I,
everybody, is how we get from one side of town to the other, and it's a major thoroughfare, and I know it's been a problem traffic-wise when it hits to the Dublin intersection.
The unfortunate reality of a number of these projects, especially of that size and magnitude, when the highway department found themselves in the infamous cash crunch 3 years ago, the whole prioritization list changed. Just to give you a huge example, they were scheduled to let Highway 64 to New 85, 4-lane divided highway in 2028. It's now on the to be determined indefinite. And that what you, it's on the list, but it has no dates. When you have a $3 billion gap somehow magically appear one day, it reroutes the whole list. So that 3 years later, they're still trying to build a comprehensive list, which meant everybody had to scramble to get back in line again.
But is there a worse road in town right now that the city looks at and has to deal with, other than that problem on Sunset Avenue that keeps getting dug up in front of the old Eagle store? I mean, that really is a heavily traveled road.
It is, but it's a number, and it's a number, many are, but it's NC 42 is what it is.
Right, well, I saw 42 was in the discussion, so.
Yes.
But that's from Salisbury to the 64 out by the Y. And that dropped off. That was supposed to start long ago, and it dropped off, and we're just lucky it's back on the.
And there is a project to go, the termini, it'd go from the mall and go back into town, and I think it goes back to, I go to Cox Street. I'd have to look at it to see. There is a project, and there is right-of-way designated, but it does not have a date at this time.
including the addition of sidewalks, which the city will pay the proportional share and prepare to when they DOT does it.
Well, you see, your state legislators, that's who, I can't control it, I'm just giving you the information, that's whose ear to put it in.
Public comment, I thought it needed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah, Salisbury,
We don't disagree with you.
Salisbury at Elm Street is particularly bad because the trucks coming down the hill, hitting their brakes, it's like carpet. You know how carpet bunches up when it slides on the floor? That's exactly what the asphalt's doing at Elm Street. Right there, when they stop for that light, they just push it. There are wrinkles in that asphalt there, at Elm. That is embarrassing. And I will just for a point of reference, I will tell you, anywhere the understreet is concrete, which they all used to be, Fayetteville Street, Sunset, Salisbury, all of those were concrete. Anywhere there is a utility cut, where we have to go in and cut the concrete to get to the water line or the electric or the phone or whatever, you cannot patch that so that it doesn't pothole again. I mean, it's impossible. You can't compact it enough, and those utility cuts always pothole almost overnight. I mean, it seems like overnight. So that's what's the problem with Sunset. Hadn't been long since Sunset was paved, but you look at those potholes on Sunset, and there's a utility cut in the concrete under every one of them. That is one of our big problems with Salisbury and Fayetteville Street, Cox, anything that was
Pivot has held
originally
up,
a concrete
Pivot is
street.
unusual.
You can't compact the fill enough so that it doesn't give, and it's gonna pothole right there at the utility cut every single time.
But, and we're aware of the entire, I mean, the council's worked hard on the entire, fixing of 42 out to the Dodge place. And we want to get sidewalks all the way up there to tie the neighborhood to the Y, to the mall. And I said, we're
And
ready to commit.
that's been a long process, and it was helped along by the fact that Dublin is a cut-through, a major cut-through from 64. And they're stacking up over there at Dublin and 42, right there above the Y. So they looked at that and tried everything, tried to submit 3 or 4 different plans before they finally agreed that it had to have a light, a signalized intersection.
You're talking about Dublin and 42?
Yep.
It backs up between Parkview and Reading on a regular basis, all the way back that far.
So it's been a long, drawn-out process just to get that section of 42 done. So we'll keep working on it.
It's a rare road I can see that doesn't need something done, for sure.
Well, it goes uphill and
I
downhill.
spend
It's in a
60% of my
curve.
time, that's all I do.
Cut through your old neighborhood, David, and chips, and just, Greystone's the way I have to go, 'cause backed up to that.
All right, anyone else? Ma'am, did you want to speak to the council tonight?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Come on up. I see you've got a big boot on. Are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine. God got me. Oh, no, I don't even want this one. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maxine McIver, and I'm a resident on the east side of the community. And the reason why I'm here, because I'm concerned about my community where I live. There's a whole lot of rumors been spreaded out that, first of all, we have a very serious drug problem over there, and you guys already know that. We got all type of people that are allowed to walk over there on drugs, walking like zombies or whatever, God help them, but police ride by them. They don't acknowledge them, don't try to see if they need help or whatever, and it makes our community look bad. Second of all, it was told that the police, chief of police, asked the police department just to leave the east side alone. Just let it be, okay, just let it be. Let them kill each other and let them continue to use the drugs where they're ODing and dying off of. And my concern is this community is deteriorating. It has no unity in it at all. is just as good as any other community here in Randolph County. There's a sewage smells that comes down through, let me see, where MLK folks off to, is that Go Hill Road? Right there. Yeah, it comes all the way down there. Spring Street, all those streets. It's an awful smell and it's real bad in the summertime. I don't know if anything could be done about it, but I'm pretty sure, I don't know if anybody had brought it to the attention to the city council meeting, but it's been like that ever since I got in Asheboro. I don't know what it's the sewage from the zoo or what, I don't know where it's coming from. Also too, second thing I want to address is the city gets this grant money or whatever, but it doesn't do anything to help build our community up. And I feel like our community is the people in there are trying to be pushed back into the rural area. And we do have kids there. And every child in that area doesn't go to church, okay? They doesn't have somebody that can pick their hands up. I sit and I watch kids that's supposed to be in school, young teenager men and women walking the streets. But we have so many organizations or so much over there, but it doesn't seem like they're grabbing these kids before they really get into trouble to stop them. It's like everything is catering to inside their church. It's not helping what's out there. My thing is, something has to be done. It's gotta stop. We don't want the drugs over there. We don't want the people walking on drugs over there. They don't go out down South Fayetteville Street walking with drugs. They don't go across over there Old Lexington Road walking on drugs. We don't want them over there. I don't want them. I mean, because if they start hanging over there no worse than what they already done, they just empty a drug house on Tucker Street, thank God. Several people, cars, got shot up, homes got shot up because of the crap that was going on there. But also, too, they will find somewhere else to linger around. And they have been lingered on my street, and I've been keeping my porch light on because I live alone. I have an elderly lady that lives alone also, too. But I feel like we need more input in the east side from this city for our community. Our kids have no swimming pool over there. We got a whole big sports complex built out at Zoo Parkway, but our kids don't have anything. And those kids all can't get out that way. They all can't get out there. And all the kids don't play football, and all the kids don't play soccer. So I would like y'all consider, the east side. And I will be back, you guys. That's just my concern as a citizen, and I'm fighting to get this community better than what it is. I can't do it alone, and I'm not trying to be no big head. I don't want to step over nobody's feet, and I don't want to get no credit. I just want us, the East Side, as a community to work together to make it a better place to live. And thank you guys for letting me speak.
Well, you're quite welcome, Ms. McIver. McIver, I'm sorry.
My grandma always told me to correct you.
McIver. And you're absolutely right. They are actually walking down Fayetteville Street and Sunset Street, and every day somebody calls me and says, fix the problem with the homeless, fix the problem with the drugs, and my answer is, tell me how.
Tell you how.
How do we fix the problem?
You get a drug test.
I'm sorry. If you're gonna talk, you need to stand back at my phone.
How you fix it, you get a drug task force. You get a task. Just like when the gangs and stuff was going on, you get a task. And they know the ones who are in the game and their activity, whatever. Further, these drugs, they're coming in from Mexico and everywhere else. I mean, it's nothing that really could be done except at the border. But it's here in our community. And not stepping on nobody's toes or being disrespectful, though. Also, too, I left one thing out. The relationship between the African Americans and the Latino in the community. There has been told, the city of Asheboro has told the Latinos that we as African Americans don't like them because they're coming here taking our jobs and stuff. First of all, I have no problem with no human being, what color they are, but they have dominated our community. And I feel like they need to have a relationship with us in our community so we can understand each other's backgrounds and where we come from. Because I know a lot of them come from hardship over there in Mexico or what other country they come from. But my thing is, it's like the east side is like, let them kill each other, let them use the drugs, just let them, that's what's being presented.
Well, Ms. McIver, and I don't want to dispute what you're telling us, I don't wanna argue with you.
No.
But if you haven't heard the chief of police say that, then I don't think you'll hear anybody from the city of Asheboro, an official from the city of Asheboro, say something like that. I mean, first of all,
Mayor, this,
it's hearsay.
and these are prominent people, and I know they would not lie to me. I know they wouldn't. They have no reason to. That I do know.
Well,
I'm gonna leave it at that.
let me tell you a little story. I had a lady from the east side call me one day and said, I was told that you said such and such. And I knew this lady pretty well, and I said, do you think I'm a smart person? She said, yes, I do. I said, do you think I would say that even if I believed it? Say it out loud to somebody? She said, no, I don't think you would say that. So my point is, we all hear every day on Facebook, the city said this, the city said that.
I don't go on Facebook with the city.
Well, but it doesn't have to be on Facebook. It can be two neighbors talking, and somebody
These are loyal,
says,
active people in my community
but-
that have brought this
but
to
the
me.
people aren't hearing it from the people they say
Okay.
are saying it.
All right, we're gonna leave that alone. My main thing is, what are we gonna do to better the east side community over there? To
And
put
we're
some of
trying.
that money, the grant money that you guys get, that you use to build the football and the soccer field. Like I said, every child don't play football, every child don't play soccer, every child don't have the transportation to get down there. Something need to be put in the east side community for our kids.
We've
We don't even
tried.
have a swimming pool, we don't have anything over there.
We've tried to
Nothing,
develop,
people on drugs,
we've tried to develop the old central school gym and all that, but we
that's
cannot,
another problem too. I have
we
a petition
cannot
going
get
on for that.
anywhere with the owners of the property. We want some promises and some guarantees that the money we put into that project will be long-lasting and do some good.
Good to the community.
And we cannot get a good working relationship there.
Well, I'm just gonna put it out to you. I'm working on a petition for getting a new, board member for that East Side, gym, because I feel like that our Boys and Girls Club is no longer there. The daycare is no longer there. The gym is not even fit for the kids to go in there to even do anything. I
That's
don't
why
know
the
why they
Boys
haven't.
and Girls Club is not there anymore.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I know why, because it's terrible in there.
Yeah.
But also too, there wants to put other things in there. We need our kids back there. We got a daycare there. Those
Absolutely.
are
No
jobs in the
argument here.
community for people who can't get there. They're not seeing that. I mean, it bothers me real bad, and I'm gonna fight for this community, whether I was born in Randolph County or not, and yes, I am from Gifford County. But I'm just saying, I
It doesn't
live
matter.
there,
You live here.
and
That's
it bothers me
important.
to see that. It bothers me. It does.
And I agree, and it bothers me. And when the Boys and Girls Club decided to move out of that gym,
It took the heart out the city, the heart
I
of the
said-
community.
I promised, took it upon myself to promise the Boys and Girls Club Executive Board that I would do everything I could to make sure they didn't have to leave that gym and that east side, because that is where the Boys and Girls Club has to be effective.
That's right. You're right, Mary.
And
You're
I
so
worked
right.
and worked and worked and could not make any progress with that.
Well, I'm working on
Get
it.
some different board members.
That's what I'm working on.
We would, the board.
This is what I'm working on, because I
would be
don't,
great. The board, the east side board, however they set that, is set by a boundary. And, I can guarantee you that the city staff is, nothing more that we'd rather do than have a rec program and the Boys and Girls.
Yeah,
Club
'cause
life
those
over
kids
there.
are lost.
We think there's money to get, to help us, but we just need you to help us.
We promised to remodel that building and make a rec center out of it, but we could not get anywhere with.
well, I'm working on it. And hopefully, what I'm working on will get y'all where y'all can get somewhere to help that community.
And,
because-
and you sat right there and watched these two guys tell us what we did to help them make a difference on the east side. We put 125 kids plus 36 girls out there for Raiders football we bought all the uniforms.
Well, I know that the young man,
Yeah.
that before they even got the team, had approached me to it about it, because I was talking
And then
about.
we also
And I
helped
think he
the other group, which is not necessarily East Side. But the other group, Asheboro Youth Football, we did the same thing for them. That was another 160 kids or so, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
160 kids and cheerleaders. So we believe in the youth. We are trying to make a
Yeah,
difference.
but I'm worried about the youth in the East Side community, like I said.
As we are too.
What to do, you know what I'm saying?
As we are.
Not hanging around at that park and stuff, he's just not gonna get it. And some of those kids are so bright and very educated. It hurts my heart to see them just, they don't have any role models, and then the ones we got, it's like they pick certain kids, and I don't like that. You get the little ones and bring the low ones and lift them up. God don't want the ones that's saved, he want the ones that's unsaved. And thank you, gentlemen, for my time. I get back with you.
Hey.
If you can help us with the gym.
I got you.
Council's committed to making it right for everybody. Somebody got over anxious, didn't they?
They don't want nobody to know who you is.
I'd say Pat Hurley might have fired me.
That's my cell phone number.
Nice to meet you. Hate to meet you under these circumstances.
We can certainly talk some more, and
Yeah, it's not gonna be done.
And that's-
we understand, and we're willing. We're willing.
It does, I don't know why God put it on me, but it just bothers me.
Don't worry about that. Just hand it to him.
I got it now.
Just don't hit me.
That's my cell phone
Thank you.
number.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
See you.
All righty,
Reach back out to the mayor. We'll set a meeting.
there you go, thank you.
All right, anybody else? Okay, council, on your consent agenda, item B, is a little premature. We've got some additions to make to those minutes for the special meeting on January 20th. So we want to remove item B from the consent agenda. And is there any other item on the consent agenda that council wants to remove for individual consideration? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented minus item B.
Mayor, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as presented without item B.
I have a motion by Ms. Heath. Do I have a second?
Second.
Where's the second? Mr. Burks?
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Roney, I believe you're up.
Mayor, while Mr. Roney's coming up, we're welcome to have with us Mr. David Lambert from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, who works in their Economic Development Industrial Recruitment section, who's been a real key in this project. Also, for Ms. McIver, this is our water and sewer director, and we'll get on that sewer smell. Came the right night, there he is right there. Yeah. We heard you.
That's why he wears that mask.
Michael, are you aware of that?
Yes, we treat that, so we just need to.
We treat that with
We do treat that.
we treat that with chemicals now.
So,
Yes, so we'll,
that is one of our treatment areas. Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
okay.
Y'all just make sure that line don't bust coming down through mine.
okay.
If, we keep our fingers crossed, but I saw a 12-inch line one day that a tree fell and cut it in half. It was a mess.
Good evening. As you are aware, we have been heavily involved in the economic development for the Chatham Advanced Manufacturing Site, particularly the Wolfsby project. As you know, the state has allocated $55 million to the city of Asheboro to construct a water transmission line to the site. In the August meeting, I came to you to share with you that we were going to contract with PTRC to help them, or to let them help us provide professional services and do strategic management so we can get all the players in Randolph County, the municipalities, the county, and ourselves together to figure out a plan to get the water line from here to there. So we're working on that as we speak. We're still in meetings and doing things along those lines. With that, the Department of Commerce needs the city to sign memorandum of understanding so that we have the agreement with them in place when, the agreement between Wolfspeed and the Department of Commerce has not been signed yet. Correct, Dave? Okay. As far as I knew. They're
holding us up.
So they are holding us up. The money has not been released to us, but when the money is released, we need this agreement in place so that we can start work. So, any questions? That's just a really quick, brief update on the project so far.
They're moving dirt hard as they can go over there. Let's get on with it.
Indeed they are, without an agreement in place. So,
If you own the land and the tractors, you can do that.
right. Okay. Any questions? So I'm here tonight to ask you to authorize the city manager in executing the MOU as it's presented in your agenda packets.
Questions of Mr. Roney? Now, is this line gonna also, get around the reservoir at this point in time, is that later, or what is that deal?
That's to be determined if the funding is there to do that, but yes, that would be the idea, if we could get that included. So, because the county is allocating some water for Eastern Randolph to get there, so, and it has to come through there to get there.
Mr. Lambert, you've sat here very patiently, tonight. You have anything you'd like to add?
I'm here so my foreign exchange students can see a council meeting, but it just happened to be on this night.
And where are they from? We should have introduced them.
This is Marius from Denmark, and this is Federico from Brazil.
Denmark and Brazil.
High school.
Welcome to Asheboro, North Carolina. Probably not what you were expecting, was it?
I kind of expect like a high school movie or something like that. Nice, so great.
I feel much
Well,
more sophisticated.
Mr. Lambert.
I would have introduced you earlier had I realized. I'm sorry.
Mr. Lambert lives here in Asheboro.
Oh, so how long will you be here? Whole school year?
Yeah, I've been here the first semester and this semester as well, and then I'm going back to Denmark. I would love to stay a little bit longer, but it's like the program I'm with that's not allowing me. I don't know how long for this thing.
I go back to Brazil in December. I will stay this whole year.
Well, it's good to have you here.
It's also good to be here.
Okay. Any questions of Michael? I'll entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to, execute a memorandum of understanding.
Mayor, I move we authorize the city manager to execute the memorandum of understanding, if necessary by reference.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Burks. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Whenever it's ready, John can sign it.
Chop, you need to take this back tonight?
What was that?
Do you need to take this back tonight?
No, well, emails was fine.
All right, item 9A, Mr. Ogburn, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Mr. Leonard, our city engineer, Michael Leonard, our assistant city engineer, Spencer Patton, city surveyor, Tom Scaramasta, and our administrative assistant in that department, Tammy Williams, for completing these 2 change orders. Unfortunately, we had an outbreak of COVID in that department. It was easy to call roll up there this week. You see, Michael has been sick too, so I'm gonna pinch hit for Mr. Leonard. So this is a request approval for change order number 6 from Terry's Plumbing and Utilities, which adds $698,496.73 to the amended contract price, includes additional rock removal, the new additional retaining wall out grading for the inclusive playground, and the fencing and final regarding around the turf installation. Item B is approval of a change order number 7 for Terry's Plumbing Utilities, which is $402,000 for the 7 picnic shelters. Now, Mayor, if you'd hand it to item C for Ms. Reeves to do the change
Okay.
orders as.
If we might, Mr. Mayor, could we get the votes before we work on the
Can
budget?
we do
and
A and B
contract?
together? One motion?
It'd be better to have a separate motion for each
Separate
change
motion.
order.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve change order number 6, item A.
Mr. Mayor, based on my familiarity with contracting prices of this type, I'll make a motion to approve item 9A.
I have a motion by Mr. Moffett. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Burks. Discussion.
Looks like we discovered a lot of rock.
Yeah,
It wasn't really a discovery.
Yeah.
we did all
Didn't
that,
have to look
did all that boring, and turns out we bored where there wasn't any.
Between them.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion, all opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item B, change order number 7. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve item B, for the picnic shelters in the amount of $402,260.
Have a motion by Mr. Moffett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Burks. And, you know, those are 7 picnic shelters, and a couple of them are really large, like 50 or 60 feet long and 30 or 40 feet wide. They're various sizes, and they'll be all over the place. Well, there they are, right there, 12 to, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item B, change order number 7 is approved. Ms. Reeves?
Thank you, Mayor. In your packet, you have an ordinance to amend the general fund. We'll vote on this first before we vote on the ordinance to amend the Sioux City Sportsplex Fund, but they do cover the same content. I added up the sum of both change order number 6 and change order number 7, and the total is $1,100,757. $757. I will say before you vote on this that the change order number 7 is for Terry's Plumbing to construct the picnic shelters, but the city of Asheboro will actually be purchasing the materials for it. So this is just for construction. So we may see, once we get an estimate of the cost of the materials with the current environment, if it keeps changing, we may, you may be hearing about that again. But the ordinance to amend the general fund, I recommend adoption by reference if there are no questions.
Questions? We have a recommendation to adopt by reference. May I have a motion?
Mayor, I move we, amend the ordinance to amend the general fund by reference.
Have a motion to approve by reference. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Heath.
Okay.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The next ordinance is an ordinance to amend the Sioux City Sportsplex Fund, receiving the funds and appropriating funding for the actual expenditure. Same amount, $1,100,757. I recommend adoption by reference.
Questions? Motion to approve the Sioux City Sportsplex Fund.
Mayor, I move we, adopt the ordinance to amend the Sioux City Sportsplex Fund by reference.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Swears. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Reeves, you have item 10.
Yes, I have another ordinance to amend.
Before we
the
do
general-
that, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, we'll need to get, this involves DAI, so we'll need to entertain a motion to recuse both you and Councilmember Heath because of your connection with downtown Asheville.
Okay, may I have a motion to recuse the mayor and Councilwoman Heath from this discussion on item 10?
Mayor, I move, to, allow a recusal motion by yourself and Ms. Heath for item 10 for discussion.
I have a motion by Mr. Bell. May I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Redding, second, Ms. Redding. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Mr. Moffett will lead the discussion on item 10.
Ms. Reeves, if you would please present item 10 to the council.
The ordinance to amend the general fund is requesting funding for a partnership with DAI, which is Downtown Asheboro Incorporated, for the second year of a 4-band Friday night tribute concert series. It was very successful in 2022, and so the city and DAI are partnering again to do that in it was successful in 2022, so we're going to do it in 2023. Our bands are 1964, which is a Beatles band, that's going to be in May. The Petty Breakers, which is Tom Petty, that'll be in July. On the Border, which would be an Eagles tribute band, that's in August. And Boys in the Band, which is an Alabama tribute band, that will be in September.
I believe that one's been changed.
That has been changed. It's gonna be a Stevie Wonder tribute.
That's the Stevie Wonder tribute night.
Okay, well, it will be.
Can we
Stevie Wonder-
just substitute the Stevie Wonder tribute band for the Alabama tribute band?
Absolutely.
Okay. But the requested cost is $75,000. I recommend adoption by reference.
Council, you have the proposal in front of us. I'll entertain any discussion or motion.
Move to adopt by reference.
We have a motion by Mr. Burks, a second.
Second.
Second, was that Clark?
It was.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Begrudgingly, I'll entertain a motion to reinstate the mayor and Ms. Heath. Well, begrudgingly, the mayor, I like Ms. Heath.
I think the original motion was just to excuse him from.
Yes, the mayor's back in control automatically.
Yeah.
So.
Councilman Bell is out of order.
Mayor,
I stay out of order.
on the, up on the screen, Trevor, if we didn't have it on our end again. There's a lot of events coming up, Mayor, so you may want to mention that.
All right, let me add one thing. The sponsorships for the summer concert series were very successful last year, and most of that initial funding was also raised, matched by sponsorship. So,
Yeah, we get the revenue on the backside, yeah.
all right, I thought that was important. Okay, our employee recognition luncheon midwinter blast is Thursday, February 16th from 11 to 1 at the Recreation Center. On the 23rd, the mayor, city manager, and Michael Roney will attend county commissioner planning retreat to update the commissioners on our joint city-county water and sewer projects. The 23rd also from 5 to 7, public workshop at the library to receive input for the David and Pauline Gerald Center City Garden development. On the 24th, Friday the 24th, well, first thing is 10 o'clock Friday morning, the special meeting, which is a work session, a retreat of sorts for the council and administrative staff. And then that night is our Daily Bread Kitchen fundraising banquet at AVS from 6 to 8. I have 2 tickets left. Anybody want them? The city's sponsoring a table. And then on the 24th from 5 to 7 at Cumbie Family Funeral Service in Artsdale. Our former Senator Jerry Tillman passed away on the 4th of February, and his service will be Saturday, 25th. The visitation is the 24th, Friday, 24th from 5 to 7. funeral being on the 25th at Archdale Friends Meeting.
Mayor of the city, will send flowers in honor of the mayor and the council.
All right. Senator Tillman was a great friend to Asheboro, Randolph County for many, many years. Okay, Thursday, March 9th is next city council meeting. Friday, March 10th is the Sunset Signature Series returns to the Sunset Theater with Stephanie Quayle performing on her new album, On the Edge. And the city manager's office, if you contact city manager's office, Joanne, if you plan to attend City Vision 2023 in Concord on April 25th to 27th, the North Carolina League of Municipalities annual meeting. Anything I missed?
Well, Harris not really a city business, but it's important to the community. I think on February the 25th, I think all day, Saturday the 25th, is the Laura List Jamboree that has been put on hold because of COVID, and there'll be 9 teams competing at Sam's and
Volleyball.
high school. Soccer.
Soccer, okay. Is that a fundraiser for the foundation?
For the foundation.
Okay, great. Bill McCaskill has a birthday on February 16th. Happy birthday, Bill. The mayor is not planning to sing. I don't think of anything else. Ms. Heath?
I have some Year of the Trail events to share.
Oh, there's a hike this Sunday.
There is supposed to be a hike this Sunday at Walker's Creek. With the weather forecast, that certainly may be changed. But people can meet at the downtown farmers market at 1:30 to carpool, or meet at the site, which is the Walker's Creek Trailhead off High Pines Church Road at 2. And then the zoo is doing 2 hikes as part of the Great Backyard Bird Count. One on February 18th. They'll be at the lake in the Africa continent from 9 to 10:30. And there will be another hike at Nichols Preserve, which is normally closed to the public. That will be February 20th from 9 to 10:30. There's information on the zoo website about that. So.
Will any postponement be on the city website as well on Sunday?
It's the zoo website that those last 2 hikes. I know Mary Joan Pugh will know about the hike on Sunday, whether or not that's happening. So I expect it'll be on
In
Facebook.
case of rain, it will not happen.
That's right. That's right.
Those are all fair weather events.
And then speaking of the weather, I know that our great city staff is preparing for the possibility of weather, so that's always greatly appreciated.
Right.
That's all I got.
It always happens.
Mr. Swears.
I'm good. You got a water meter, I'm happy.
Oh, you are happy.
The only thing that would have been better is if
happy.
Richard's been sharing with you. Mr. Bell?
Happy Valentine's.
John?
Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Moffett?
Well, as I shared earlier, spent some time in Lee County and Sanford today, and I was comparing that to the Chamber's trip to Greenville, from a lot of the things that they have experienced of a somewhat scale with Caterpillar and over the time, and how it has matured their downtown and some of their sidewalk programs and all, and the benefits of just the rising tide floating everything. It was a worthwhile experience. I have high hopes for our upcoming future. It was very promising.
You with Lisa? Were you with Lisa Mathis?
No, I was not there for a day. I was with the DOT, but not with her.
Yeah, Sanford redid their whole downtown sidewalk program with new granite and real brick. Of course, brick capital of the world, go figure. All right.
And board member lives, don't go figure, it's all.
Mr. Burke?
Yeah, I have a sister who lives in Sanford, and I'd heard all about it. It's
It's
pretty
nice.
exciting. I
It
always
is
brag about what we're doing here, so they finally had something to brag about. So,
Well,
yeah,
to
but
be
it's a
fair,
big deal.
They got more industry than anybody.
Yeah, they do.
but they don't have the recreation facilities we have that we're a world-class establishing. There's some balances, but it is very nice what they've done.
Yep. Jane.
I was watching a video the other day of a guy, I think he calls himself the redneck pilot. And he basically goes and flies over various cities. He was flying over Asheboro. And I was trying to pick something out. And as he panned around, these gorgeous green fields from the Zoo City Sports Complex just sprang into view like a gem. And then I was able to put everything together. And I would love to think that in a few years we would be hosting a tournament of our own little Raiders and for the whole state and for the whole Southeast. I think
Well,
that'd be great.
we do expect the Raiders and the Asheboro Youth Football to be playing down there next football season.
Be their home field.
They played at Asheboro High School this year, and if you went, you know that there were, four age groups playing,
We're gonna pick up 13 and 14 this year.
and so it went all day. It started like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning and went till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because they play one game after another. And what we'll have down there is a chance to play simultaneous games. Our fields are dual purpose fields, where we got football and soccer on a couple of them, soccer and lacrosse on a couple of them, and soccer only on a couple of them. And they have a championship game down there next year with lights. And I'm sorry, Mr. McIver left. This is a dual purpose sports facility we're building. It is not just to meet the local need for soccer, but it is to attract travel teams, soccer, beach volleyball, pickleball tournaments, football, all of that to Asheboro. People that spend big bucks to travel with their children, the next professional soccer player, the next professional football player, they'll travel and they'll spend just about anything to do that. We want them to come here to do that and leave their money here in our motels and our restaurants, and when they get on 64 to go home.
And we'll give them a trophy.
So, and we're partnering with the zoo on some of that. So I know
And we're working on free public transportation to get people down.
yeah, we're working on a bus route that will take people from the hotels and the mall and the Walmart area.
As well as
to the zoo and to the sportsplex.
and to the library.
Pardon?
Bigger hotels?
I was contacted just last week by someone looking at Asheboro for the next hotel.
I was too.
And we're on the verge of having another one. Our occupancy rates are high enough at this point that it's time to think about building another one. And I believe, Mr. Moffitt can address this, but I believe there is a semi-serious commitment to build a boutique hotel and meeting facility at the zoo or somewhere close to the zoo.
With two types of facilities, they're traditional structure and yurts for luxury glamping. That is part of Asia. Asia will have a 200-seat restaurant in it.
So, as I've said many times over the last 3 or 4 months, we're on the verge of some tremendous opportunities. And,
Yeah, but we are aware of the disproportionate sportsplexes here, the swimming pools here, a lot of population in North Asheboro, a lot of population in East Asheboro. How do we get people moved around? We're really working hard to develop a bus system that'd be a no fee, just hop on, be safe, take it to the library, to the hospital, especially people with limited transportation means.
I wanted to add, I'm the new chair of the Boys and Girls Club, so I'm looking forward to.
how come you're not on the east side?
Help us with that. There's an opportunity there if we can take advantage of it. There's a real opportunity if we can take advantage of it.
Yep. We relish the opportunity.
This is hot, Chris.
Yeah.
Well, we may or may not be part of the problem, but we can be the solution.
So I'm a big piece of it.
But it comes with a few steps that have to be done.
Chip,
There is.
what does the city do when
care of the drug house across from where I used to live. Are there steps the city can do?
Yes, it's a lengthy process. We have to make a lot of arrests. We get it on the nuisance. And
We have to build a case, and the case file is usually about 1.5 inches thick.
Well, it's worth every daggone inch.
yeah, and we did the same thing that Mr. McIver mentioned on Tucker Street. It's the same.
So, the bottom line on that, Mr. Durham, is when someone has a problem in their neighborhood, call 911. The more you call, the more they respond, the more ammunition we have to enforce the ordinances and the conditions to close something like that.
It may take 25 or 30 arrests, though. It may take an hour.
But we have to build a case, a documented case, and the best way to document that is to call 911.
Well, I don't think Ms. McIver got that message.
I can't hear you.
We didn't either.
Yeah, just keep, we'll
Because
tell her.
I know you know what I did, and I
Yeah,
stayed
and
you
the mayor left her.
informed the people what they need to do, because it's all over this town.
Yeah,
We talked about
she
it at
left.
Frazier Park, we talked about it at Bicentennial Park, it's all over.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate, but it's getting worse, and it's not just Asheboro, and I'm not sure anybody's got the answer. It's frustrating. So, anyway, we can talk about that all night. Jane, did you finish? I'm sorry. Mr. McCaskill, happy birthday, and
Thank good for a short meeting today. I got bronchitis, pleased about that. But I will say about the drug thing, you know, the Attorney General's got some money, and we should be getting some money. I think it's gonna be spent through the health department to help get some treatment centers. That's one part of it. But so, and maybe even on the east side, work out something to get a treatment center over there. But, that money's coming down, and so, everybody on the east side needs to be and talk with the health department about that, so.
And I will tell you, the U.S. Attorney has been here multiple times working with the DA on some of our more serious drug problems, the traffickers and some of the drug houses and whatnot. So
we do have a police officer, Asheboro police officer attached to the USDEA for federal cases. We have an Asheboro police officer attached as well to the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. So that's just as fastest way is to get some of these multiple offenders in the federal system. So we do that as part of what we do too.
My name is Shantina Hinton. I do have a business on South Cox Street. It's Connecting Bridges. I do substance abuse comprehensive outpatient therapy. And we started out with the homeless shelter, and we took the people that were in the homeless shelter and we actually got them housing. So our program is like 120 days, and then after that, but it's a wraparound. Like we do life skills with them. Plus, we also assist them with Section 8, help them fill out the application, then look for them somewhere to live. Then within that 120 days, we've had, seven people housed so far.
that's great.
And so that's pretty good.
And little steps, it takes lots of people with little steps to make a difference.
Yeah, and it's also environment. The environment over there was horrible.
And what they're doing, Mayor, what her business is doing is giving the wraparound services. So if you can get people off addiction, well, usually their whole life's broken down. So they need housing, they need transportation, they need
a job,
someplace for their kids if their children aren't school age. So they're providing the whole suite of services to put their life back together.
And also the transportation here, because we live in Pleasant Garden, so we're used to looking at buses and things, and so we only have RCATs here, so that's kind of really hard whenever they need to.
We're working, we're this close. We've got a system planned. We're just trying to find the financing.
We're working on the funding right now.
Good.
Are you located along there behind David's?
Yes.
Okay.
We're in that building where it's got a lot of suites.
Yeah.
Mr. Ghostin used to be across the street, we're beside that florist.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and our classes is from 10 to 2 for the morning, and we're getting ready to try to open up another class. But it's hard because drugs is everywhere, and I think everybody's happy when they're getting high. But whenever they see that it's not working and getting in trouble with the law and different things like that and losing their children, we have also assisted with people with that as well. So we've had positive outcomes.
Well, Colonel Brown sitting back there in the corner can attest to this. We have, victims that we might see at 10 o'clock in the morning and administer Narcan, and we might be back out there with that same person at 4 o'clock that afternoon, another potential overdose. You know, it just, and that's what addiction's all about. It's a cycle that is hard, almost impossible to break. So I appreciate your efforts, your work doing that, and if we have, like I said, baby steps, lots of people doing what they can, and Ms. McIver and people that have a real feel for it, a real passion for it, can keep working on it, we might make a difference. But it's like whack-a-mole. Every time we move them out of one area or help one person, there's 5 more that pop up.
And I do believe, and Colonel Brown can attest to this, been on the force a long time, but the opioid crisis is been more significant here on our community than the crack cane, or there's just more people doing it. Not that crack cane's a thing to do, but it's just prevalent.
It's, the next high is always better than the last one.
Yeah.
It's just progressive. And the fentanyl and the, it's, I don't know, too dangerous. All right, so, Bill, you shouldn't have said something about a short meeting, I'm sorry. Thank you all for being here. Good luck, guys, for the rest of your, stay in Asheboro. And, if you probably got better things to do than to come back, but if you want to come back up here one night, and you're welcome to come anytime. So, good luck, and everybody be safe going home. Thank you for being here. We're adjourned.